What's up, everybody? King of Fomo coming at you with your daily crypto update. Today we're going to be doing another live stream on Pulsechain, just doing a quick update on Validator earnings so far. So I wanted to kind of talk about how the Validator system has been going for me since I started. It's been about maybe 2.5 weeks, a little less than that. And we'll also talk about just Pulsechain in general, some of the projects that are coming up, and maybe some of the crypto market in general. Honestly, you guys have probably noticed over the past like month or so, I've pretty much exclusively been talking about Pulsechain and Pulse related things, just because there really haven't been that much going on else in the market. The only other thing that I've been sort of interested in is ASIC mining, and that's a whole different topic that I'm just starting to learn about. So don't feel 100% qualified to talk about that. But nonetheless, let's take a look at Pulsechain, take a look at kind of how it's doing right now. Pulsechain is looking like it is at a 1.03x the sacrifice rate, which is not too shabby. We have the incentive token, which is down a little bit. I kind of predicted that the incentive token wouldn't do that well due to the fact that, I mean, this is just, it's going to have sell pressure since you're having a lot of people kind of farm it for free. Now, with that being said, we're also going to talk about the fact that if you have been farming with Pulsechain since the beginning, that has been probably the best thing to do. And we'll do some number calculations as well as kind of looking at running a validator versus farming with Pulsechain, and seeing that it's a pretty big difference in earnings that you could have gotten from doing the farm and just selling your incentive token consistently. You didn't even have to wait for incentive to go up in price over time. It's just the APR for the incentive token still is pretty insane. And then we have other things to talk about as well, like the 9-inch DEX that's launching within the next couple of days here. I think what do we have, like about a week, a little less than a week left, 5 days left in the 9-inch sacrifice, looking at about 96 cents per 10,000 points. And yeah, this one's looking like it could definitely be a contender. Like this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about 9-inch DEX. And when I say so excited, I mean it's just the most exciting thing on Pulsechain. It doesn't mean it's the most exciting thing in all of crypto, but one of the things to look forward to most in Pulsechain. One of the reasons why I'm so excited about it is because, I mean, the only other thing in Pulsechain right now that's pulling some massive bucks for people is this really, really good APR for running a liquidity pool over here on Pulsechain. I mean, 248% for the past, it's been like 4 weeks or something like that. Consistently 240% APR is extremely good, and that's pretty much impossible to find anywhere else. And this is with a stable coin paired with Pulse. So, I mean, as long as you don't think Pulse is going to dump down to the depths of nowhere, that's a really, really good deal. And if you've been farming, honestly, this is about 10 times more. You're going to be making about 10 times more from farming over here compared to running a validator. But we will look at the validators as well. I want to show you guys kind of how my validator is doing. In fact, let me open that up in another tab. Beacon chain. It's going to be right here. And we'll just take a look at this validator right here. Actually, you know what? I keep forgetting that I can't show you guys this website, because this website still isn't quite tweaked to the right degree to really understand what you're making in it. So if let's see, it also takes forever to load. So once this loads up here, we can see that it says for the day I've made about 85 pulse. For the month I made 259. So that might be a little bit accurate. They're sort of cleaning this up a little bit more as we're seeing here. But a lot of times you're going to see this red, and I'm pretty sure I've made more than 85 pulse today. So just showing you guys my validator wallet, my validator earnings wallet. This is a little over 2 weeks. When did I start these things? The deposit was 17 days ago, so it's been about 17 days and 2 hours since these things have started making some pulse, and that's about 1.2 million pulse earned in that amount of time, which is about $124. Not too shabby, but that is 7 validators running. That's not just one validator, so you can divide that by 7, and that's where you can see, like, if I would have put this same amount and just farmed it from the get-go and never took it out of farming, I would have 10 times this amount. So I would have about $1,024 overall, because that's what the APR is. The APR is approximately about 20 something percent, 22% yearly for running a validator. So still, in my opinion, that's really, really good, as long as Pulse maintains a fairly similar price, right? We can see a drop of 30% or an increase of 30%, and it's not really going to change things too much. That's just how the volatility of coins go. But that APR should stay about 22% if the price of Pulse stays around where it is in Sacrifice. And if it goes higher, then you're getting a higher APR. Everything's looking nice. So yeah. But yeah, I'm just really curious to see. And I know how incentive works. I know how the whole burning of incentive happens, and the tokenomics of the incentive token. But still, in my opinion, I don't think that that's enough, personally, for it to stay sustainable at $13, or even at a sustainable non-moving price range for a long time. But I've been sort of proved wrong over this past month. We'll see if incentive token continues to really keep its status, because to be honest, like I am bullish about the 9-inch DEX that's launching, but if 9-inch can't compete with these APRs, it's not going to hold a candle to PulseX, right? People are just going to stay with their liquidity pools over on PulseX. There's not going to be a reason for them to move over to 9-inch if the APR is going to be significantly lower for a long period of time. So that's the challenge. I think that's the biggest challenge that the 9-inch DEX has. That is the biggest challenge. Let's see here. Some other things we can talk about. Other projects have launched on Pulsechain. There really hasn't been that much movement. We have, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm drinking a drink right now and it's making my throat all choked up. But Strong Hands 3D, this was just a little project. Obviously, most of these projects that I've shown you guys are just projects that exist on Pulsechain that are functional. They haven't been projects that I'm like super hyped or excited about. We talked about Whales Candy a little bit. Actually, let me open up a tab for Whales Candy. Whales Candy Pulse. And we also talked about Strong Hands 3D. Now, Strong Hands 3D is not doing well. And I kind of warned you guys of this before, so this is why I didn't dump the bag in. It's actually recovering a little bit, so this is nice to see. I put in a total of $50, so my amount right here should be $41. Oh, actually, I think this is just referral commissions that I just got right here, but the amount that I put in should be approximately $41 because of the 10% fee, 10% fee. And it's dropped another 10%, which means there's been a big sell. So let me show you guys what I mean by this. And this was actually a really good time. I should have kind of talked about it again. But honestly, it's hard to tell if these things are gonna like resurrect or if they're gonna die forever. But it went down like really hard, really quickly. So that honestly was a really good point to like dip in again. If this thing is gonna do well, like that was your second chance to buy cheap here in Strong Hands 3D. And now we're sort of in this in-between point where it's pretty cheap. If you think it's gonna rise again, you're gonna be able to reap some pretty good benefits and pretty good rewards from this. So let's see. I wanna open up a contract. It's gonna be in documentation. And we're gonna have to go to contracts, and we're gonna look at the hourglass for Pulse. So this DApp is on other chains, but we're concerned about Pulse right now. So we want to look at the Explorer. I just want to show you guys the coin balance is what really you want to pay attention to. So it should have an upward, yeah. So it had a little bit of a bounce upward after this massive sell. You had just a massive sell where everything went down, I think about 50%, because of that massive sell from like one or two people from June 14th to June 15th. And this is where you see the coin balance decreased significantly. So a lot of people got a lot of dividends if they had a lot of tokens in here from that massive sell. but the value of their coins all went down to about 50%, which was not offset by the dividends at all. And then over here, you had like 2 days to accumulate, 3 days to accumulate from June 15th to June 17th. And this is where the coin balance was about 782 million coins. That's not Pulse. That's the native coins on these strong hands. That's the strong hands 3D coins. I'm pretty sure. Or is this Pulse? This might actually be Pulse. Nonetheless, it's 782 million. I'm going to say Pulse. 782 million Pulse. And then we went up to about 1.13 million. So that's a pretty big jump right there. But it's like a 20% jump, 25% jump in a day. So yeah, right now we're still in the in-between point where if you think that Strong Hands 3D is going to resurrect, now's a good time to really dip your toes in a little bit more. And that's one of the big reasons why I only put in $50 in the beginning here, because I knew that like the token balance was a little high from where it started. And I was waiting for a time like this where it did get dipped down. So King of Fomo is thinking about, if I'm gonna really play with Strong Hands 3D, now I'm going to consider doing a buy right now. Now, could it go down again 50%? Yes, for sure. But if it recovers, like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have been around as long as I have. I don't know if you guys remember some of these other smart contracts that are like this. These contracts that are, what do they call them? Hourglass contracts. They can recover pretty hard. You can make a huge profit from buying into these things. Some of the ones that I'm thinking of are like, I mean, Proof of Weak Hands obviously had its days where it dumped hardcore, and then it pumped like 100x very quickly afterwards. And then some of you guys might remember Gandhiji. I know Oracle remembers Gandhiji. This was one of his main contracts right there. That one was another one where it dumped for like a year and it miraculously became extremely popular afterwards. So yeah, these things can take off like crazy, and you can make some insane profits from getting it on the cheap with these ones. But they're also really risky because those 50% dumps that just happened a couple days ago, that's not rare. Like, that happens very frequently with these types of contracts, and then they just never come back. So some people are still waiting on Gandhiji. Let me see. I don't know if I can open up Gandhiji. I'm trying to remember what the website for that was. I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe we'll open it up later. I want to show you guys. Hold on.
The mic's off.
I want to show you guys the growth over time for Gandhiji, just to really illustrate what some of these smart contracts can do. But honestly, like, these are contracts where they just don't do anything for a while, and then once they do something, you get some massive profits from it. So we'll see. I do want something like this to succeed. I think this would be really cool for the King of Fomo team to be in something like this and be able to reap the rewards of it. But we'll see. I have to really think about that. Let's see what else. We've got a couple people here in chat. I know some of you guys are listening to me now. Some of you are listening to me live. Some of you guys are watching the replay of this. We talked a little bit about the validators. Yeah, I guess to get into the validators a little bit more, I do think that these validators will be incredibly rewarding if Pulsechain hits sort of my price target. So let me see if I can open up my price target. And we can sort of see right here, this is another kind of metric to take a look at just to see how Pulsechain is doing. This is from June 14th to the 19th, and we can see that we've had an increase of validators, so people stopped dumping their validators essentially, from about 19,010 validators to 19,300 validators. So you have about an extra 300 validators on here, which is nice to see. It's not like a meteoric rise like you're seeing over there on Ethereum, but it's still something to pay attention to see how the network is doing in general. And that's just taking a dump. I'm not really paying too much attention to Hex. I'm paying more attention to to Pulse. So Pulsechain, Pulse right here. Honestly, this is one of the things, I think I mentioned this in my other video, I talked about it a little bit. I think Pulsechain is, realistically, if you want to say what is Pulsechain's best performing price right now, what could it be? I think that Pulsechain could be a competitor to Avalanche, right? Pulsechain and Avalanche have similarities in terms of activity and volume going on. Total value locked is way different. I think Avalanche has way more TVL, but I think that Pulsechain can definitely be a contender to Avalanche. So that's the coin that I'm comparing it to in the short term and seeing how well it can perform in the short term. What is my price where I'm going to say, you know, this is fairly priced. If it goes any higher than this, it might be overpriced, and it might be time to sell, at least in the short term, a little bit. A lot of people are saying, you know, 10x, 100x, wait for that. But if you want to sort of time your entries and exits, I think that when Pulsechain gets on the same level as Avalanche, that will be a good metric right there. So Pulsechain currently has a volume of $29 million, which is a lot less. It's still going down on day by day. So that's not the best thing to see in terms of performance, but things go up, things go down. Avalanche is at $13 million, so this is a huge chain, hugely popular, but only $13 million of volume. And again, comparable to Pulsechain. Pulsechain actually has more volume than that. 55,000 transactions in Pulsechain compared to 47,000 transactions in Avalanche. And then just looking at the market caps, comparing those together, the market cap of Pulsechain is sitting at about $1.5 billion, and I think this is 2.5 times, maybe even 3 times. Let's see, about 2.5 to 2.75 times more from $1.5 billion for the market cap of Pulsechain compared to Avalanche's. Where is Avalanche? Right here, about $4 billion market cap. So, yeah, about 2.5 times the price of where it is right now. So I think that seeing Pulse hit 2.5x sacrifice is a fair price, right? I think that that's in line with where it should be. Best case scenario. So let's go ahead and look at it, where that was. Have we been? When was the last time we were there? Pulsechain's still fairly new, so we can see we have a nice little bounce up, nice little recovery from before that 0.7. And we might retest that. So like, don't panic if you're like, man, I missed the bottom. Maybe not yet. Don't worry. Let's see here. So previously, the last time we were at 2.5. That was close to its all-time high, to be honest. So 2.5 was way up here. The all-time high was at about 3x sacrifice price. So 2.5 is where it sort of crashed right after that, 2.5x. So I think that's going to be an easy point to retest. And then going farther than that, it's hard to say. It's hard to say when Pulsechain will go farther than 2.5x the sacrifice price, because you have to really look at the market. How are the markets doing overall? If Bitcoin and Ethereum go up significantly, then obviously 2.5x could become 3x or 3.5x. But without Bitcoin moving, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of burning, a lot of growth in the system in general. Sorry, I just dropped something on my keyboard. Yeah, for that to happen. So we will see if it hits that level. What's up, Deliana? Just joined the stream. The whales investors took profits. Yeah, I mean, I mean, this is something that some people don't realize. It happens with every single coin on launch day, right? If launch day is really, really good, no matter what coin you are, you're gonna have your people dump, right? And they usually don't dump on day one. Usually they dump after a little bit of a pump. And the same thing happened with Pulsechain. So the people that are holding and believe in Pulsechain, we're not worried, right? And like, Pulsechain is sort of an anomaly because with a lot of those other chains, they dump a lot harder. Like, we can take a look at some other coins here too. Sui was another one that, I mean, you just see it coming from a mile away. These coins, they launch with so much hype, and then they crash hard. So Sui was another one that launched with so much hype, had an all-time high of $2.16, crashed hard to about 55 cents 9 days ago, and it's had its nice little recovery up to 75 cents. Now, will it retest that $2.16? Probably eventually, right? But until then, people are sort of learning the system, you know, sort of laying their seeds, right? You know, getting their bearings, getting their positions in the Sui ecosystem before it really takes off. And then the people are going to say, man, how did you find Sui so early? And then we're going to say, well, it was at this price for such a long time. You have all this time to get into these coins, and you just have to jump in when there's nothing going on with your coin. When you're like, man, this is real boring. Nothing's happening. The price isn't going up. It isn't going down. That's the time to really just do your research and get your position. And that's sort of where we're at with Pulsechain, right? We're at the point where Pulsechain it's getting boring, right? It's getting boring, and King of Fomo gets excited when things get a little bit boring, because that means that you know, it just takes a little bit of time, and then all of a sudden when things take off, I will already have my position well made within Pulsechain if things do end up taking off. But again, don't confuse me with the Pulsechain Moon Boy. I'm not going to say that Pulsechain is going to go 300x, you know, tomorrow or anything like that. I'm just cautiously optimistic. So yeah, and then you also have the other opportunities like we talked about earlier, where there's just like like honestly, if you have funds just sitting in other chains. Alright, sorry, hold on one second. Yeah, if you have funds just sitting in other chains, there's just so much yield to make with Pulsechain. If you just look at some of the things that are launching, we talked a little bit about 9inch, right? A lot of opportunity there, potentially. Opportunity is not guaranteed, right? But opportunity for sure. You have even just PulseX, the farm. Like, there's so much opportunity right here, where some of my other coins that I'm just sitting on and they've been doing nothing for such a long time, or even some of the coins like if you're in the Sui ecosystem, or a few other ones where you're doing staking, but your APR is way lower. This just looks way more attractive to me in terms of moving some of my coins over to Pulsechain, getting the APR, and waiting, right? Because I don't foresee Pulse dumping so hard, you know, going 0.3x sacrifice rate and staying there for a very, very long time, unless catastrophic things happen. It's a possibility, but that's a risk that I'm probably willing to take for a 248% APR for 4 weeks. I mean, come on. Yes, so that's one thing I'm excited for. In Whales Candy, we talked a little bit about Whales Candy. Now, some people were mentioning on my YouTube comments, Whales Candy launched on BSC before, and I think I remember when it launched. And it wasn't very successful. So some of the people that remembered Whales Candy on BSC was like, man, I'm not going to get into the Whales Candy Pulsechain. BSC didn't work. Why would this work? Which is perfectly understandable. Right? I don't get super hyped about contracts like these either. Because they could just end up just not doing very well. And we might be starting to see that over here on Whales Candy, because the last time we talked about this is a smart contract where this number is the one that matters, right? It's one in the middle where my mouse is. And it's sort of a double-edged sword. If this number is really, really low, like 0.006, that means there's a lot of pulse being pumped into this ecosystem, right? And there's a lot of activity. But it also means that if you bought on this day, you didn't get that much, right? So you didn't turn that much of a profit if you buy on a day where the number's really, really low. So double-edged sword, right? You didn't make that much, but there's a lot of activity going on in the system, right? And then you also have, on the other hand, when the number is really high, like yesterday, 0.02, I think that might be the highest it's been. 0.02. I think that's been the best day to buy, like almost by 2x. You get more than triple than what you got on day 11 if you bought on day 11. So again, double-edged sword. It's a good thing because you got a ton of tokens, right? If you bought yesterday, you got a ton of whales candy tokens. But that means that there wasn't that much deposited into the ecosystem, which means that if this trend continues and people deposit less and less and less every single day, you're not going to get ROI, because the 1% daily that you're going to be making in whales candy is going to be worth significantly less if people continuously put less and less and less in the deposits every single day. So that's the hard thing with these auction ecosystems, is like, you do want to be kind of early so that you have your 1%, you're making your 1% daily, but at the same time, it's tough. It's a tough one. I mean, you gotta look at it this way: the people that bought on day one, they got an okay rate, right? Actually, they got a terrible rate. The people that bought on day 5, let's just say day 5, the people that bought on day 5 are getting 1% daily, and they've got 1% daily for about 15 days. So they have about 15% that they've cashed out from here. Yeah. The game theory is interesting, but it's a risky one, right? Like a lot of this other stuff, it's risky. It's a whale's candy. And then this is another one that was mentioned in my Telegram chat, or in my Discord chat. This is called Pulse Rate. So I didn't really look into this in any videos yet, but if you are part of my Discord, you had a chance to check it out. I think Bumbleclot posted this in there. So this one's already done. Their pre-sale's done. They raised about 800 million Pulse. How much is that worth? How much is 800 million Pulse worth? That's the only bad thing about Pulse is I can't do the math in my head. These numbers are too big. 800 million Pulse. It's about $82,000. So yeah, these are like small potatoes when you compare them to other chains, right? So about $80,000. And this is what is this? Is this another exchange? Oh, this is a Tome fork. Tomb fork, that's right, that's what this is. This is a Tomb fork. So if you guys are familiar with Tomb over there on Phantom, similar thing. I think Tomb had its own issues and successes, but yeah, this is it's sort of like another exchange, similar to 9inch and PulseX, which is good. Like I said, it's good to have this competition launched. Right, because when you have competition, it forces all the competition to try to do better and one up the other guys. Right, and that's good for everyone. If you just have one exchange, then they have no incentive or motivation to really push themselves to make the exchange really good, because everyone's just going to use that same exchange. It's the only one. But when you have something like Pulse Rate, which is your Tomb fork, when you have 9inch, Daytona Finance, and PulseX, then they're all sort of racing to be the best and have the best rates. Let's actually open up Daytona Finance. This is one that I sort of saw a little bit late. This is another one that's doing really good though. Like, yeah, this APR is pretty dang good, right? And you're looking at coins like the Zen Pulse, Pulse USDC, and these are the ones that matter. Like, you can also look at the the sort of quote unquote stable coin, like the Tony Pulse. I think Tony is the token for Daytona Finance. And a lot of times, if you guys are unfamiliar with these farms, when their own native token is the most volatile. So their own native token will be the one that crashes extremely hard, extremely fast. So that's why it's the most risky if you have that exchange native token. In this case, it's Tony. And most people get into the other pools where you pair Pulse and USDC, right? Those are going to be pretty stable for the most part. And you're going to get some nice APR, 579% APR with that. Now, the catch with these exchanges, guys, is that if you're going to do a deposit over here in Pulse USDC, there's a 4% fee, right? So you immediately lose 4% the second that you deposit your tokens here. But you're getting a really, really good APR in return because everyone else had to pay that 4% fee. So nobody's gonna like deposit, make APR for a day, and then leave, right? Right? It's gonna take a couple days for them to do that. And the fact that like the Tony coin is actually doing good. It's doing pretty dang good, right? It's actually up since the last time I looked at it. So if you're only paying attention to this number right here in Pulsechain, you're doing it all wrong. You should start looking at some of these other projects on Pulsechain that are doing well and make some yield with it, right? Look at this. This is the Tony coin right here. If you've been farming with this thing, you're making bank. You're making a good amount from farming it, right? It hasn't been like a terrible decision for you to get into this Tony token, right? You're farming from the beginning up until now. It's actually, recovering really, really nicely. And this is again another reason why I'm excited about the 9-inch decks. This could be another one where you can see the same thing happening with Tony and the Daytona Finance and with PulseX, and hopefully with Tomb too, right? Again, if you're just paying attention to this number and you're not doing anything with your Pulse, then yeah, it's pretty boring. But there's not even a lot. Like I was gonna say, there's a lot of projects on Pulse. There's not a lot of projects on Pulsechain. There's a few, and the few that are on here are doing like good. They're doing good. So I might actually sign off with this live stream in a little bit and make a video just summarizing that point. Right? We'll look at Strong Hands 3D. We'll look at Daytona Finance. We'll look at PulseX farming, and we'll look at 9-inch, and we'll just say, man, they're all doing pretty dang good. What's up, crypto? Is my retirement? You need another moon day. You need another moon day. Funny thing is, the guy that made Moon Day, actually, I think he made a project on Pulsechain, but I don't think it's the best project on Pulsechain, right? It's a similar project to Moon Day. But yeah, we do need another Moon Day. I'm thinking like we could have found it though. There's some of these projects, they have the potential to be the next Moon Day. I think one of these projects, if Pulsechain ends up doing really well, right? If Pulsechain gets the adoption that people are hoping that it gets, we're gonna have our Moon Day. It's inevitable. We just have to, like I said earlier in the video, you just gotta find your position. You gotta position yourself. And that's sort of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to position myself in all these projects just in case one of them really, really takes off. I got my Moon Day. And my fingers are crossed, to be honest. My fingers are crossed on 9-inch. I'm probably going to do like a big chunky buy for 9-inch today. And then I'm going to really hope that the BBC token and everything works out nicely. If it doesn't, whatever. I tried. But yeah, so I don't really have that much Pulse since my Pulse is all tied up in my validators. But I have some BNB and I have stuff on Ethereum, so I'm probably going to do a big sacrifice from Ethereum to get some 9-inch tokens. I wonder if we can take a look and see how is this address doing. I've been looking at this and let's see, 18 million. Is this 18 billion? It's 18 billion pulls. That's actually pretty good. 18 billion pulls. On Pulsechain, they've raised 18 billion pulls is, yeah, $1.9 million. I'm trying to follow along with it closely. I'm hoping that one of these things becomes a moon day. But yeah, I'm hoping that other projects launch on Pulse. And this is kind of, I'll sort of end off by saying a few of these points right here. Back when Moon Day launched, and back when we had our projects on Ethereum that were like popping off left and right, it was really easy to find most of those projects. And the reason why it was so easy to find most of those projects was because there wasn't that many projects, right? There wasn't nearly as many people on Ethereum. There wasn't nearly as much funds being circulated around, right? So you might think that if there's tons and tons of people on Pulsechain, then you're going to make a lot. But it's sort of the opposite effect has happened. If there's too many people on a chain, like in Ethereum right now, there's too many people on Ethereum, then there's like two problems. Number one, you're going to get front run by everyone else who has bots and like super experience doing this stuff. So it's going to be hard to beat all those people who are front running you into these new projects. And the second thing is you're going to have so much money flowing around that you're going to have scammers, right? There's tons more scammers on Ethereum and BSC. And just like garbage projects that launch on Ethereum and BSC, that it's way harder to find the next Moon Day on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, or on Binance Smart Chain. On Pulsechain, since this is like new, and the projects you can count the amount of projects that are launching sort of on your hands and feet. There's not that many. So it's a lot easier to weed out the garbage and compared to the gems. And even if you can't weed them out that much, you still have a much higher chance of being successful in Pulsechain because there's less options. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making exclusive videos about Pulsechain right now. If anything does succeed, we're probably going to be in on it because there's not that much stuff here, right? Got rugged on Birch, Baby Richard Heart token on Pulsechain and lost 3K. Yeah, I mean, the rugs do still happen. That sucks, man. I didn't really hear about Birch. But, yeah, I think that even with the rugs that do happen, it can be made up, right? On a chain like this, I think that you can probably make that 3K up on the project that's successful, the one that doesn't rug. So yeah, we'll see. I'm wait till launch to buy. I feel like I'm late with 9-inch. Pause. Yeah, no, you should be good. Like, and that's the other thing. Like, that's why I'm telling people, don't FOMO too hard into this stuff. You can wait. That's sort of what I did. And we just talked about this earlier. That's sort of what I did with Strong Hands 3D. I said, let me wait. This is already pumped, and sure enough, I'm glad I waited, because let's go back here and show you the Strong Hands 3D coin balance went down a lot. And if I would have aped in too hard when the hype was there, I would have lost 50% immediately. But now I have a chance to ape in again and get an easy 30%, 40%, something like that, if people continue to buy into Strong Hands 3D. And the same thing with 9-inch. Like 9-inch, you can FOMO into it right now and just do a big sacrifice. Or you can wait until it launches, and then if the thing happens where it launches and then it dumps hardcore, you got yourself a nice buy-in opportunity, right? You get yourself a super nice buy-in opportunity. And I think the same thing happened with Pulse, right? Pulse, right? Launched, went up like crazy, dumped hardcore, and there's your nice buy-in opportunity. You didn't have to sacrifice anything for Pulse on the first day, right? You could have gotten, half the sacrifice rate easily on that first day if you just would have waited the first couple hours after everyone panic sold it. Yeah, good opportunity right there. So that's a good strategy to not FOMO too hard. But also, I don't think that 9-inch. No, I think you are kind of rolling the dice with 9-inch if you're sacrifice right now, because you're rolling the dice, but you're not rolling the dice that hard because you're rolling the dice with everyone else rolling the dice at the same time. I think the price of this does go up day by day, but like not significantly. So if you sacrifice in 9-inch and you end up losing, you end up in the negative, you're probably going to be in the negative with everyone else who sacrificed, with the exception of a few people. So I think the sacrifice is going to give you the most quote-unquote fair price, where you're not going to get dumped on too hard if it does dump. And if you buy after launch, then one of two things is going to happen. You're going to be priced out, you're going to be too late, or you might be able to time it and buy the extra cheap price, 50% off, before it pumps back up to normal, which is going to be about the sacrifice price. Same thing with Pulse, right? Pulse, people had their opportunities before and after, right? If you bought before and after, you either got screwed over and bought at 2.5x sacrifice, or you got lucky and you bought at 0.3x. Yes. Alright, but I agree. Wait till launch, but I feel like, yeah, I already read that. Hit the like button. Fomo's an OG. Yeah. I've been around for quite some time. What I'm really waiting for, though, is I'm waiting for regulation to happen so that we can get more stuff. I'm waiting for strong hands. I'm waiting on strong hands for Pulsex. Oh, are they doing that? Are they launching a strong hands for Pulsex? I gotta look at the community again. This is the Telegram. That'll be interesting if they do that. Huh. Yeah, they already got it on a bunch of other chains. But yeah, if you can get in early on this stuff, and this is the time. Like right now, I think Pulsechain is sort of a chill chain right now. So if you get in early on something, you're not gonna like, you have a chance to get in early on lots of stuff over here on Pulsechain. On BSC and on Ethereum, you don't have a chance to get in early on anything unless you're like unless you have like a promoter bonus if you're a marketer or something who gets an early buy. Good luck getting in early on anything over there on Ethereum. Some people are like meme coin hunters over there. Like, that's one of the hardest things to do over there on Ethereum. Meme coin hunt. But props to the people that can get it done. For me, it's just like, I go over here, I look at this, and I'm like, how do people, not this, I'm like, how do people choose, where are the new coins at? Here it is. I'm like, how do people choose some of these meme coins, right? How do you know which one to get? You got Pepman City, Messy Coin, What Do You Meme, right? Just go to CoinGecko and look at the new coins. 90% of them are going to be meme coins. You get the Jesus Raptor coin. How do you know which one of these to pick? Like, for real, man. Inu token. Alright, guys, I am going to sign off. I'm going to make that quick video about just about opportunity in Pulsechain. I'm going to condense what I just said in this live stream down into a 10-minute video. So I'm going to do a quick old check-in with you guys, see what else is going on. If you have any other projects that you want to talk about, leave it in the comments section or in the Patreon group. Hopefully I mean, the next most exciting thing we're going to talk about in 5 days is hopefully this 9-inch launch is not borked and it works out nicely. If it is, then whatever. But I'm going to see if I can drum up some Ethereum over here on my Ethereum chain and get some more sack points. And maybe buy into Strong Hands 3D more. And then I'll make my video in about an hour or so. Catch you guys in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.